911. What are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
Range for night vision.
This is Callie Crank live from Crab Orchard. You are listening to Sasquatch Chronicles.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Got a great show planned for you. What a week it's been. I've had my power knocked out 3 times. We've had massive wind and rainstorms, and now we're getting a little bit of flooding. It's been a crazy week, and every time we had the power knocked out, I was in the middle of interviewing someone, which was beyond frustrating, but hopefully next week will be better. I want to thank you again for being here. We're going to be chatting with Chris. And Chris had an encounter while serving. He was actually at Fort Campbell, which is right on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, I believe, if my memory is right. And I've had a lot of encounters. The only reason why I know that I didn't serve, but I've talked to many guys from that area. And Fort Campbell's one of those areas where there's a lot of encounters. And Chris had this happen to him back in 1989 while serving. And for the longest time, he thought it was ghosts. He thought they had ran into ghosts. When you listen to his encounter, you'll understand why he says that, but I don't think they ran into ghosts. We're also going to be chatting with Ryan. And Ryan is what I would consider more of a professional hunter. He knows a lot about hunting, and I thought I knew a lot about hunting, but Ryan had an encounter in 2020 in California, Southern California, while he was hunting. And pay close attention as Ryan is talking about what happened to him. He didn't know what it was. He didn't know what came under his tree stand. He didn't really understand what was going on, and he was bow hunting. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope next week is even better for both you and I. Let's jump into it. I want to welcome Chris to the show. Chris, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you being here and sharing what happened to you at Fort Campbell. And I never got a chance, well, I always say I never got a chance to serve. I never took the opportunity to serve our country, so I want to thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, take us back. This is 1989 at Fort Campbell. Start from the beginning. Kind of what were you doing and what happened?
Okay, well, we were in the back 40, which is the training grounds for Fort Campbell, and it is right on the Kentucky and Tennessee border, and just east of Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley, which make the land between the lakes right there. So where we were at this time, we had done a 20-click night movement, no roads or anything, just up and down the hills. And we came back we're at the back side of the back 40. And so this had taken us all night. So everybody was laying down, set up a perimeter, and I was the 60 gunner. So when we did a movement or something like that, I didn't have to pull guard. So I got to sleep, which was great because the M60 was, it's not a light gun. I crashed out pretty quick, and real good friend of mine, I'll just call him Cheese. He knows who he is if he hears it. But he was the RTO. So he was the lieutenant's radio, basically his cell phone out in the field. He was pulling guard, And he wakes me up and he's like, hey, is it Halloween? And we weren't sure that we'd been out there for about 3 weeks. So we weren't exactly sure the date, but, he had, gotten a bag of Reese's peanut butter cups. So he's like, it is now. And we start, we're eating them and, just BSing about, the last movement we took. But anyway, so, we had just gotten PBS 7s, which not optical devices. It was the monocular type that would flip down, and you could turn the IR on or off on these. So he's sitting there. There's nothing going on. It's completely quiet out there. Look up on this hill, and just out of the corner of my eye, catch a shadow. I have been saying it's been ghost since I saw it. Recently, well, after I have listened to probably a couple hundred of your shows at least, love it. And recently I started thinking on top of this hill was like a family cemetery plot. And the stones were about 3.5 to 4 feet tall. The newest occupant of this little cemetery was like 1783. Old cemetery. So this is right up the hill, about 100 yards up, probably a 40-degree angle. But where we were at down on the side of the hill, you couldn't see shadows from the gravestones at all. So, the apex up there left a easy 4 foot, 3.5 to 4 foot space where you weren't able to see there. I start watching and then I see another shadow walk over, and it doesn't walk, because we're hyper alert. We're wargaming, but they're silhouetting the hell out of themselves, which if you're in the military, you don't walk on top of a ridge or a hilltop at night because, you're right there. And then there's like 2 more, and I'm like, geez, check that out. And he looks, and then, so this is probably 70% illumination. I mean, the moon was out, you could see really well. And, scattered trees going up the top of the hill. So he's like, grab your nods. So we put on our night vision, and we haven't turned on the IR yet. And you can see that there's 3 somethings floating back and forth and just kind of checking us out, because there's a whole platoon down there. We're like, they can't be that stupid. And he's like, well, they're not moving. I mean, they don't look like people moving. And I mean, a lot bigger, because they were looking like they were 6 feet tall from where we were standing. So we both hit the IR lights about the same time. And of course, there's about 1/10 of a second that it flashes, real white, and then goes into the green. And when it focused in, there was nothing on the hill at all. For years, I was like, couldn't figure out why that was happening. So turned them back off, and we're looking at each other, and we're still eating candy because it's not an MRE. And look back up there. It's probably 5 minutes later, and you can see one peeking around one of the trees again. And this is with the IR off. So we watched again, and then they're just checking us out. They weren't. I mean, and I called it a ghost for the last 30 years until recently. And I'm like, because listening to the stories about they don't bounce when they walk, and that makes sense with them, floating around and stuff. Anyway, that went on for about another 30 minutes, and then they vanished, and we went back to sleep. We weren't going to tell anybody, though. But
yeah, let me ask you real quick, Chris. I want to go into the movement and what exactly it is that you guys saw. But one thing that you said I want to ask you about. So on those night vision, with the night, anyone who's seen Finding Bigfoot, you'll understand the night vision, because when they walk around with their gear on, what we see on TV, it looks like those guys are lit up. You'll see like Bobo, Cliff, Renee, Matt. And when they're talking, it looks like there's a light on them, but it's not. It's an IR light. And what I found fascinating is, so when you were looking at this thing through the night vision, you were seeing these, whatever they were, up on the hill. And when you click the button for the IR light to go out to kind of light it up more, you